I recently just finished watching the entirety of the first season of Gotham Knights, and I honestly just really have something to say about Gotham Knights, about the entirety of the Arrowverse CW shows, and everything that they've chose to do with it. The CW really, really hates the Bat Family. And there are so many prime and true examples of this that it is actively hilarious. I mean, we have had the Green Arrow, which was just basically Batman if he was the Arrow instead. We have had Batwoman, we have had the Gotham Knights TV show, and so many other examples of them mentioning the Bat Family or just mentioning Bruce Wayne specifically, but never doing anything with it. And then having these two, in all opinions, like bad shows in terms of like what we would have expected, and just giving us all of this extenuating BS that nobody wanted. With the CW, yes, we've always come to expect that most of their shows are not and will not ever be of the top tier best quality, and we might get one or two or maybe even three good seasons until we completely fall into this category of absolutely horrendous plots and absolutely horrendous shows entirely. But when it comes to the Bat Family and how the CW treats them, it is just made so much worse. If I'm going to specifically talk about something like the Batwoman TV show and just bring that as my first example of how much they hate it, in this, it specifically talks about the fact that Bruce Wayne has been missing for around like 3 years and just hasn't been seen whatsoever. He has been gone and he just basically abandoned Gotham after he killed the Joker. And obviously, first of all, the fact that CW has now done this twice with Batwoman and Gotham Knights, where Batman has killed the Joker and it has caused to whatever happening, is absolutely just hilarious, because the fact that we know he wouldn't ever really do this in almost any real canonical version unless it's like a completely different version of Batman that doesn't have the same morals that we already know our Batman to have. It just makes it even more hilarious. But then by the fact of them having Kate Kane be the Batwoman and then kind of just not even obviously involving Batman whatsoever, but having it be where no other Bat Family members are present. It's just Kate Kane, and the entirety of the story follows this specific plot line where, hilariously enough, she's only there for the first season and then she disappears. But besides that specific point, we have all of these characters, because they can't even usually use like the entirety of the Bat Family either way, because there's usually all of these like intellectual properties and like they have like limits on what they can be able to use specifically, hence why in the earlier seasons of the Arrowverse they were only ever like alluding to Gotham or like doing thing, and then eventually they started actively being able to be more free with it, actually mentioning Bruce Wayne and actually like mentioning kind of like the Batman in a sense. But even then they never actually did anything truly with it. They had the opportunity with Batwoman, and then they completely fumbled that by having a horrific storylines, horrific pacing, and just everything about it kind of just being very problematic in my opinion. And I don't know very many people that actively enjoyed the shows so much that they didn't see all of the problems that actively happened along with it. And I will get back to this later, but I also want to talk about Gotham Knights. I literally just finished watching this show, and I know obviously it came out about a year ago, and it's only going to get one season, but I do have quite a few opinions on this show specifically. Obviously, if you guys don't know what the plot line of this show is, it is basically Batman has been killed, of course, because they can't actively use Batman correctly in any of these CW shows, but Batman has been killed, and it is basically a situation where the Joker's daughter, I'm putting that in quotation marks because obviously if you guys watch the show, you guys know what's going on, but it's basically these villain kids and like these kind of just like criminals are framed for that situation, and the other person framed is Batman's adopted son. And instead of it being any of the actual main characters that we would have actively loved to see on like the screen, maybe even possibly done right, or just basically getting their own story told, like a Dick Grayson, like Tim Drake, Jason Todd, Damian Wayne, or almost any of the numerous Bat Family members that they could have possibly chosen to use. They use a person named Turner Hayes, which I'm pretty sure is just a completely original creation that they chose to create for this, in which he is quite literally just someone that was orphaned at the same age as Bruce by both of his parents being dead, and Bruce choosing to adopt him. And obviously, that just really sounds like a Dick Grayson situation. Obviously, besides any of the plot points that they ended up adding later, but it literally just basically follows them actively having to figure out who framed them and what entirely like was the entire point behind this, following the main threat of this entire season being the Court of Owls, which I honestly truly love the idea of the Court of Owls, but the way that they did it was honestly hilarious in this. And there, don't get me wrong, the show has its highlights and its good points at some points, but the entire like romance plot points and a couple of the actual like just full-on plot points in general really just are very hit or miss, and usually more often missed than not. But the fact of like the entire show being the setup the way that it was honestly just very irritating to me, because of the fact that you have so many amazing characters that you could have possibly been able to use. They have a character that is basically just supposed to be Robin, but it's obviously not any of the Robins that we actively would recognize off bat. And they have like this kind of basically almost a fully developed Bruce Wayne, because this kid has been like with Bruce since he was 8, and he's basically like an adult now. And there was never any indications of any of the other Bat family members. And we're not even going to we're not even going to talk about the fact that in both of these shows with Batwoman and Gotham Knights, they have completely butchered the Batman suit and just gave him this like, either in Batwoman, this horrific suit that looks absolutely atrocious, or just cowl because they couldn't be bothered to do anything else with it. Batman has been such a staple in so many actual TV shows, movies, and all of these other properties, but the way that the CW has always used the Bat family as basically a joke, and just using them to kind of sprinkle in these characters here and there, but never actively make any full developed plot lines or actually like use them correctly in the way that any of the actual people would really actively really want to see, is so irritating. Like, we have all of these shows that we've seen with the Arrow, with the Flash, with Supergirl, and most specifically Superman and Lois, that were able to do a great justice to these characters and actively do either the origin story correctly and make a decent show for a good long while. Obviously, we have issues with the Flash and how the later seasons ended up going. And yes, we have issues like with a good few shows, but like even if we have like our prime example of Superman and Lois, we have examples of the CW being able to actively make an amazing show utilizing some very popular characters, and not maybe not like actively like sticking to the source material or like creating a story based on comics specifically and creating their own story, but actually making a good story and making it cohesive. With both of these Batman properties, they didn't even give that the chance. Both of these seasons from the jump were very poorly written and very poorly made. Like, they just wanted to get these contents out of there because of the fact that, oh, they are related to Batman, like they're like kind of in Gotham, like they're set in this world that so many people already love. So just because of that singular fact, people are going to watch the show and love it. They tried it with Batwoman, and there was not a lot of good reception there. And then they tried it with Gotham Knights, and it was so bad that the Gotham Knights game, which obviously that's a whole other debacle in itself, actively had to say, we have nothing to do with this property. We are our own specific thing, and they just had to like, distance themselves from it. So the fact that CW just basically wasted all of these characters that could have so easily been well used and could have been brought in actively so much better and in so many different ways, it is actually hilarious, because of the fact that these are both CW shows, but they don't take place in the same universe, obviously, because of the fact of in one universe, Batman's been missing for 3 years, and then the other, Batman and Bruce Wayne have been around this entire time, and he just dies. So, like, they're not even in the same universe, which is very weird on their end because of the fact that we already have this entire based universe. And yes, we have shows like Titans, which is still in that same universe, which is just categorized as like Earth 9 or something. So like it doesn't really bother me like, oh yeah, it's not in the same world. But if you're going to be able to like make a Batman property and use something from Batman, at least do it correct. And CW has always had a problem trying to make these Batman innuendos and Batman shows stick out and actually make them any good in any actual honesty. They have just really chosen to say, yeah, we don't really want to do this. We just want to get this out because it might make some money because we're usually broke anyways. And they just have all of these problems. But please tell me what you guys think down in the comment section below. You probably all agree with me, but if you guys don't, tell me down in the comment section and leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell if you guys did enjoy this content. If you guys have any actual video ideas that you guys would like me to do, please put it down in the comment section. And if you guys would like me to get it to it faster, consider hitting the super thanks and just typing out which video you wanted me to do, and I will do it as soon as I possibly can within the next 2 or 3 videos if I honestly have the time. So please just check that out. But I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.